Digital Designer Designation, the podcast.
All right, so, we're going to be diving into digital design this time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I got to say, going through all this stuff you sent over,
Yeah.
it's a lot more than meets the eye, I think. Most people,
Yeah, for sure.
they just think about, like, making things look pretty on a screen.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like this is really shaping culture, this whole thing with digital design.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should say that. I mean, it's really the air we breathe online these days, right? Every website, every app you open, there's a design element to it.
Sure.
Even if you don't consciously think about it.
And it changes so fast, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, remember those old websites?
Oh, yeah.
With, like, the pixelated images and stuff, and the really, like, basic layouts.
And now look at us. We've got, like, AI doing it in
Yeah.
augmented reality.
Okay, so before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
I think maybe we should define what digital design even is. Because we're talking about how it shapes culture, but what even is it?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think the important distinction to make is that it's problem solving, but within a digital space.
Okay.
So you're not just trying to get a static message across, like, say, a poster. You're actually trying to craft an experience.
Okay.
You think about how a website guides you through, or how an app is designed to keep you engaged. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's a lot of intention behind it.
Okay. But I'm still stuck on this, like, how it shapes culture.
Yeah.
Because isn't it more that, like, it reflects culture? Like, what comes first? You know what I mean?
That's what's so interesting about it, I think. It's a little bit of both. It's a chicken or the egg thing. It's both.
Yeah.
But one example I always think about is, like, social media filters. They're so ubiquitous now, but they really impact how people see themselves and other people.
Oh, totally.
That's shaping beauty standards in a way that something like a magazine never could.
Oh, yeah. Because there's that pressure to, like, present yourself a certain way.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time, yeah. And it's not just, like, how you look. It's, like, the lifestyle and the vacations and
Yeah, it's the whole package, right?
everything has to be perfect.
Yeah, and it's all curated.
Yeah.
It's all designed to make you feel a certain way or aspire to something.
Yeah, or feel bad that you're not there yet.
Yeah, absolutely. There are teams of designers whose entire job is, like, crafting that experience and those feelings.
It's kind of scary when you think about it, how much thought goes into it.
Yeah, well, that's the question, isn't it? Like, how conscious is it, Are these designers puppet masters, or are they just, they are storytellers, I guess, but they're also problem solvers. They're working within a framework,
Right.
It could be marketing, it could be user experience, or even political these days.
I was going to say.
It's a weird mix of intentions and then how people interpret it.
Right.
And then just unintended consequences.
Well, and speaking of, I did see some stuff about VR and AI and all that.
Oh.
And I'll be honest, I'm kind of like, are those buzzwords? Like, what does that even mean?
It's interesting you should say that. I mean, that's really the cutting edge. It's like, how do we push the boundaries even further? What if you could step inside the website instead of just browsing it?
Wow.
What if your app, like, responded to your mood? I mean, that's all on the horizon. We're on the cusp of this whole new world.
That's amazing. And also kind of terrifying.
Sure.
But it really highlights what you were saying about the designers.
Yeah.
It's not just about being artistic. It's so much more now.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to understand, like, human psychology, cultural differences, all of that.
Right.
Thinking about the impact of what you make.
On a global scale.
Exactly.
That's a lot of responsibility.
That is a lot of responsibility.
So how do you even, like, where do you even begin with that?
That's the million-dollar question. I mean, I think understanding how visual communication works on, like, a basic level is an important first step. And that's where these ideas of denotative and connotative design come in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Denotative and connotative. See, those are the kinds of words I hear. And I'm like, yeah, I should probably know what that means.
Right.
But, like, give me the layman's terms version.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's already getting deep.
Yeah.
And I need to, like, back up.
Sure.
And define those even.
Okay. So denotative, just the facts.
Okay.
Like, straight up visual, what you see is what you get.
Right.
Like a product photo
Okay.
that's denotated.
So, like, with the social media thing, that would be, like, showing the unfiltered,
Yes.
like, wrinkles and all.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or like when you get a piece of furniture
Right.
and it has that diagram of how to put it together.
Right.
That needs to be denotative.
It has to be clear.
It has to be clear so you don't end up with an extra leg for the chair and you're like, where does this go?
Exactly. Okay, so then connotative is where it gets a little deep.
A little more, yeah.
Yeah. So what is that?
So that's where you're tapping into emotions.
Okay.
Associations that people have with visuals.
Okay.
So you can do that with colors,
Yeah.
composition, fonts even.
Oh.
Tell stories, get people to feel a certain way.
It's like speaking a language, but
Yeah.
through visuals.
100%.
Wow.
And just like with any language, there's
Yeah.
going to be nuances, right?
Right.
Something that we think means one thing
Right.
could mean something totally different somewhere else.
Lovely. Yeah.
Or even be offensive, so.
Wow. So how do you, as a designer, how do you even navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, knowing your audience is a big one.
Okay.
Being aware of, like, what is the message you're really trying to get across?
Right.
And, you know, what's the potential impact of the choices you're making?
Oh, wow.
It's thinking about not just what you intend, but what could actually happen.
Right. Like the unintended consequences of a design choice.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the good stuff, you know? When you do something and it sparks something you never even thought of.
Right. And so with that connotative, going back to like the social media,
Yeah.
that's like crafting the perfect, like even if it's not actually perfect.
Yeah, like aspirational, right?
Yes.
Like, you know, picture someone like laughing,
Yeah.
drinking their coffee.
Right. And it's that brand of coffee
It's that brand of coffee.
and they look amazing.
Yes.
And you're like, I bet their life is perfect.
Yes. And that is like by design. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Someone put that together. They chose the lighting. They chose the mug. They chose the...
It's all intentional
It's all so intense.
to make you feel a certain way.
Yes.
It's like they're selling you a lifestyle, not even just a product.
100%. And then we're over here like decoding it.
Yeah, like what is the hidden meaning behind
Exactly.
this person's like perfectly placed, like, you know?
It's true. Yeah. It is kind of scary.
It's a little unnerving
Yeah.
when you think about it.
But it's powerful, right? Like that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Design has that power.
Totally. It's kind of scary how much goes into it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like we're scrolling or whatever,
Right.
but it's all like so intentional.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes you wonder, like,
Yeah.
what else am I missing?
Right.
You know?
Like, are we just pawns in this game?
Yeah.
But it's not a game. It's culture.
Yeah.
It's our lives.
So how do we, like, because I don't think the answer is just stop using the internet.
Right.
Like, that's not
No, not realistic.
right. So how do we be more aware?
Well, that's kind of the point of this whole deep dive, right?
Yeah.
Is giving you the tools to be a more informed consumer, I guess.
Okay. So what can we do?
Yeah.
Like, should we be, like, I don't know, looking for specific things or?
I think it starts with just noticing how you feel when you're online.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, does a certain website make you anxious? Does a brand make you feel like, oh, I need to get that so I can be part of this? Or inadequate even, maybe.
Right.
And then once you start to notice those feelings,
Yeah.
then you can look at it and say, okay, what are they doing
Right.
to make me feel this way?
Oh, wow.
You know?
It's
Like being a detective almost.
yeah. Like we've been handed this puzzle
Yeah.
and we got to figure out.
And once you know the tricks, right, then you can see it.
Yeah. And then it's not so subtle anymore.
Right. Exactly.
This has been so interesting, I have to say.
Yeah.
Like so much to think about.
A lot to unpack, right?
Yeah. And like we're just scratching the surface, I feel like.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, this has been great.
It's been fun.
Thanks for nerding out with me about it.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. Keep asking questions, you know?
Right.
That's the important thing.
And thanks to everyone listening for coming along on this deep dive.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
We'll catch you next time.